Take two, guys. Let's try that again. I've got my camera and I'm not used to having it sort of facing up like this and videoing myself. Normally, I like to have it like this, but I'm using an app on the camera for doing the live stream for the pages, and it doesn't seem to, you know how the screen will flick automatically when you turn the camera sideways? For some reason, it doesn't seem to be doing that. Anyway, take two. Let's try this again. So I wanted to do 15 idioms for you guys. I wanted to go through 15 idioms that I found on a really cool website. The website is just Australian Catholic University, but they had a nice little blog here, an international blog for 15 idioms commonly used in Australia. So I wanted to go through these one by one, introduce them, talk about whether or not I would actually use these idioms myself. It's a little bit cold today. And then give you some example sentences as well as to how you can use these idioms in everyday language. So, idiom number one. To beat around the bush. To beat around the bush. When someone takes ages to say something, they don't get to the point, it means that they're beating around the bush. From the top of my head, I can't remember where this one originates from, but imagine someone has like a bat and they're hitting a bush. I think that originally the idea was to try and scare a bird out of the bush for people to shoot, for hunters to shoot that bird, and they'd have to send people in to hit the bush, to beat the bush, for the bird to come out. So maybe this expression for some reason turned into the people that go and beat the bush are wasting time. And so when we use to beat around the bush to describe someone today in English, it means that they are wasting time. They're taking too long to get to the point. So if, for example, I saw a politician on TV, and you know how politicians are always trying to say a lot without saying anything, you know, especially in Australia, the politicians will always be like, oh, blah, blah, blah. You'll ask them a question and they won't get to the point. They won't address the question. That is the perfect time to use the expression, that politician is beating around the bush. They're wasting time. They're not getting to the point. So that's the first expression, to beat around the bush. The second one is to be barking up the wrong tree. To be barking up the wrong tree. So imagine you're a dog and you've run up to a tree and you're going ruff, 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 up the tree as if you chased a cat or maybe a possum, some kind of animal you've chased up the tree. But imagine the dog is at the wrong tree. So he's barking up this tree. He's at the front of the tree. He's looking up the tree with his feet up on it, on the trunk of the tree. He's looking up and he's going ruff, 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 up the tree. But the cat's actually in another tree behind him. So the cat's in the wrong tree. The dog's barking up one tree, the cat's in the wrong tree. This expression means that you have come to the wrong place for information. So like the dog has gone to the wrong tree and found no cat because the cat's in the other tree, if someone came to me and asked me a question that I couldn't that I couldn't answer or that I didn't know, I could say, sorry dude, you're barking up the wrong tree. You're barking up the wrong tree. So that's the expression, to bark up the wrong tree. You've come to the wrong place for this information. Expression number 3, don't give up your day job. Don't give up your day job. So in this expression we have the phrasal verb to give up, and this would mean to sort of stop doing. So if you gave up your day job, it would mean that you've quit your day job, the job that you do during the day in order to make money. So when you tell someone, though, don't give up your day job, this expression is something that you would say if someone is doing something they're not very good at in front of you, and it would be like you saying to them, yeah, I wouldn't be trying to do that professionally. So imagine someone came over and was juggling in front of me and they were absolutely horrible at juggling balls. I could say to them, don't give up your day job. So it's sort of like, don't quit your job and try and do that professionally. Don't give up your day job. You could also use don't give up your day job if someone said a really bad joke and you were like, yeah, that wasn't a very funny joke. Don't give up your day job. So it's said when someone isn't very good at something that they're sort of trying to do in front of you. Don't give up your day job. Don't quit your day job and try and do this. just don't give it up. Expression number 4. This is one that I use a lot. To feel under the weather. To feel under the weather. To feel under the weather means to feel sick. So if you're feeling a bit under the weather, you're not well, maybe you've got the flu, maybe you've got a cold, you could be hungover. If you've had too much to drink the night before, you could be feeling a little under the weather the next day. And you could also use the expression to be a little green around the gills. Green around the gills is another expression to sort of look a little bit sick. If someone looks green around the gills, they look sick. And that's because fish, when they get sick, I've never seen a fish with green gills, but apparently they get green gills. Anyway, to feel under the weather means to feel sick. You're not feeling well. And this one's cool. We did this on the Aussie English podcast recently. This originates from, say, a boat. You imagine the mast and the sails on the boat, and that it used to have people on this boat, you know, the sailors. If it was really windy, it was raining, the rain would often come from a specific direction. So it would come from the left, the right, the north, the south, and a side of the boat would actually be under the weather more than the other side of the boat. And so the people that were exposed to the weather on one side of the boat would get sick or seasick, feel unwell first. And so they would be under the weather. They'd be feeling under the weather. They'd be feeling sick. All right, number 5, to big note yourself. To big note yourself. I don't know where this one comes from literally. I don't know why it is too big, as in like large, to big note yourself, but it means to boast, to brag, to talk yourself up. So for example, if I was learning English as a second language and I walked into a classroom where they were teaching English and I said, I'm so good at English, this is so easy, I'm so good, I know everything, I'm the best. That is big noting myself. That would be me bragging, I'm boasting, I'm talking myself up, I'm big noting myself. And this is definitely one that is used a lot in Australia, and it's also generally frowned upon. It's the kind of thing that you would not say to someone positively. You know, you would never say, oh, it's so good that guy over there is big noting himself. It would always be more, yeah, that guy's a bit of a loser. He's big noting himself. All right, we're on the way. That's 1/3 of the expressions. Number 6, it takes 2 to tango. So it takes 2, that means it requires 2. There needs to be 2 people to tango, as in to dance, to do the tango. It takes 2 to tango. So this is used when 2 people are required to do something, and it's usually in a negative kind of way. So when would I say this? I would say that it takes 2 to tango if someone was complaining that they were fighting with someone else. So for instance, if my sister came to me and she said, Dad's always arguing with me, I'm always fighting with him and he's always arguing and being rude, I could say to her, it takes 2 to tango. So in other words, if you didn't argue with Dad, he couldn't exactly argue back. And so 2 people are required for you guys to be fighting. It takes 2 people to tango. It takes 2 people to dance. You can't really dance on your own. You can't argue with yourself. You know, you're not going to get into a fight with yourself. It takes 2 to tango. So it's almost like a check yourself. You know, you're just as part, of this problem that you're complaining about as Dad is. It takes 2 to tango. All right, what are we on to? Number 7, to hit the nail on the head. So a nail is a piece of metal, usually like a thin piece of metal, sharp at one end. It has like a flat top, and you use a hammer to hit the nail into a piece of wood. So you'd hit that nail in. If you hit the nail on the head is the top part of the nail. So if the nail's facing upwards, the head's here, you hit the head, the nail goes into the wood. If you hit the nail on the head, it means you do something correctly or efficiently. So I often use this, I think, in the podcast. You'll hear me say something along the lines of, oh, you nailed it, or he nailed it, someone nailed it. And that's the same idea of hitting the nail. It means they got it right, they did it correctly, they did it perfectly, they hit the nail on the head, they nailed it. So if I ask someone a question in class, if I said to you guys right now in the comments, what does to hit the nail on the head mean? And one of you typed out, it means to get something correct, to be efficient, then I could say to you, literally, you've hit the nail on the head. You got it right. You nailed it. You smashed it out of the park, which is another expression. Like baseball, to hit the ball all the way out of the park, you did really well. You got it correct. You hit the nail on the head. Number 8. So we're up to number 8, almost halfway through the 15 idioms, guys. To miss the boat. To miss the boat. Or you can just say to someone, you've missed the boat. So we often put it in the past tense. If you miss the boat, this is a cool one. This is the idea that you've missed your chance or opportunity to do something. So imagine that you needed to get specifically a boat somewhere. You needed to get on the boat. Say for me, I needed to get on the boat in Melbourne to get to Tasmania this weekend. There's only one boat that goes. If I get to the docks, if I get to the pier where the boats are, where they're going to leave from, and I get there late, I miss it, I miss my chance to get on the boat, I miss my opportunity, then I have literally missed the boat. But also figuratively, with regards to getting from Melbourne to Tasmania, I've missed the boat in that I've missed the opportunity to get from one place to the other. So if someone came to my house and they were looking for a friend that had just gone out, I could probably say, oh, you missed the boat, he's left, he's gone, he's not here. You've missed your chance to see him, you've missed your opportunity. So you can use that all the time. That's the kind of thing I would too. It's like, yeah, you missed the boat. You missed the boat. Number 9, piece of cake. You guys will probably all know this one. This is used quite a bit. A piece of cake is when something is incredibly easy. I don't know where this one originates from, probably how easy it is to eat a piece of cake. It doesn't require much effort. You just kind of, a piece of cake. So if you found every single one of these expressions in this video easy, you could say each one of these expressions was a piece of cake. A piece of cake. Other examples of how you would use this in Australian English, and these are a little more crass, they're slightly more rude, would be a piece of piss. A piece of piss. You might hear guys, you might hear men say this from time to time in Australia. That was a piece of piss. Piece of piss. Or you might hear people say piss easy. If something was piss easy, it means it was incredibly easy. It's not overly rude. I wouldn't worry too much about using this, although I wouldn't use it in formal situations because you are swearing. You're saying piss at the end of the day, and it just wouldn't be appropriate in most formal situations. But with friends, go to town. Do it. I'm sure they'll laugh. All right, number 10. To be sitting on the fence. To be sitting on the fence. If you're sitting on the fence, this means that you can't make up your mind. You're undecided. You can't decide, you can't choose what to do. So for example, imagine that there are 2 houses and someone said to you, you can have whichever one you want. And there's a fence that goes down the middle between these 2 houses and you're sitting on it and you're saying, I can't choose. I can't choose which one of these houses I want. You would literally be sitting on the fence between these 2 houses, so you're undecided, and then figuratively, because you can't decide, you're sitting on the fence. This is one that you'll hear all the time. You'll hear this in political talk. If a party like Labor or the Liberals here in Australia can't make a decision about something, you could say they're sitting on the fence. If I can't decide if I want to do, if I want to go out on the weekend to go clubbing with one friend, and another friend said he wants to take me to a barbecue, if I say, look, I can't decide, I'm still sitting on the fence, it means that I haven't been swayed in either direction. I haven't been able to choose. To be sitting on the fence. All right, number 11. Speak of the devil. Speak of the devil. And we'll often contract of, the word of, O-F, onto speak. and we'll say speaker, speak of the devil, speak of the devil, speak of the devil. This one is something you would say when you are talking about someone and then they suddenly appear. So if I was at work or even in class, if I was giving a class with a bunch of students and I was saying, oh, Jeffrey's not here, he's never here, he never comes in, where's Jeffrey, blah, blah, blah. We're talking about Jeff and then he walks in the door. I could say, well, speak of the devil. So I guess it's the kind of idea that if you mention the devil, you mention the devil that he would appear suddenly. So speak of the devil. This is used all the time. If I'm talking about someone, a person, and then they suddenly appeared, it could be that that I was talking about them and they turned up on TV. You know, it could be a famous person. They've just suddenly come into the conversation outside of it though, via TV, you know, via, could be anything, but somehow it's come up, you've seen it, that's speak of the devil. Speak of the devil. Number 12, wouldn't be caught dead. Wouldn't be caught dead. So caught is like to catch, it's the past tense of to catch, caught. And if you wouldn't be caught dead, it means that you wouldn't be seen doing something. So you wouldn't allow someone else to catch you doing this thing, even if you were dead. Even if you were dead. So you'll often use this in situations where you have to wear something that is incredibly silly or daggy, or you might think it would be embarrassing. So imagine my mum bought me a pink shirt. I could say to mum, pink's not my colour, I'm not going to wear that. I wouldn't be caught dead in that t-shirt. Mum, I'm really sorry, but I wouldn't be caught dead in that. Or imagine that your dad has a pink car and you just would never want to drive around in that. You could say, yep, I don't want my friends to see me in that car. I wouldn't be caught dead in it, Dad. Sorry. I wouldn't be caught dead. So even if I was dead, where you would imagine you would not care because you're dead, I still would not want people to see me. I wouldn't be caught dead. Number 13, to be on the ball. He's on the ball, you're on the ball, I'm on the ball. To be on the ball. This would mean, I'd imagine literally, that you are playing a sport with a ball, with a round object, and you constantly have it. You're constantly on the ball. You have it in your hands, you're scoring goals, you've got control of it. And then figuratively, if you're on the ball with regards to a situation, that would mean that you're in control of it. You're energetic, you're organized, you're attentive, and you're knowledgeable with regards to that topic. So if you just got a new job and you went to work and you were like, this is easy, I've got this, you know, and you're doing incredibly well, everyone could think, whoa, this guy's on the ball. This guy is on the ball. He's got control of the situation. He knows what he's doing. He's on the ball. On the ball. So number 14, the second last one, guys, number 14, last straw. Last straw. So last is in the final one. There's no more after this one. That's it, the last. And straw as in a piece of straw. So I think another way of saying that would be hay, the kind of stuff that sheep eat. You know, you get them in bales on farms. Hay, it's the dried grass. Straw is a piece of hay. And it's also the thing that you drink, say, a soft drink through. A straw. A straw. If something is the last straw, I think that this would originate from the straw that broke the camel's back. And the straw that broke the camel's back means that it was the final straw that you put on the camel that was so heavy after that that the camel's back broke. And a camel is the large animal, the mammal that lives in deserts with humps that have water. That's a camel. So if, for instance, literally, you wanted to use this example, you could say, if I was wearing a backpack and someone was putting things in it, you know, filling up with stuff, whatever it is for camping, if eventually they put so much in that I literally broke my back, I could say that it was the last straw. It was the final straw. It was the straw that broke the camel's back. But you can also use this to be something that is sort of, that's enough. Okay, you've said enough, you've done enough, no more. So you'll often hear people say this to their children. if their children keep nagging them or whining or, you know, yeah, mum, 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 mum. If they did that all day and then finally they do it one last time, you would probably hear mum say, that's the final straw. That's enough. I'm over this. Stop it. You go to your room. 5 minutes in your room. That's enough. The final straw. So that was literally and figuratively. That was, I guess, literally, it was the final time that you had to do that for her to snap, for her to be like, that's enough. And then figuratively, it was like the final straw on the camel's back that broke the camel's back, and she was like, yeah, nah, I'm fed up. I'm annoyed. That's enough. All right. Last expression before I open it up for you guys to ask me questions. This is the last one, and then you guys can ask away in the comments any kind of questions you want regarding any of these expressions or English in general. The final one is to hit the road. To hit the road. So if you hit the road, it means that it is time to go. It's time to leave. You know, if I was at a party, I would use this all the time. Sorry guys, I'm going to hit the road. It's time to go. So I guess you would imagine getting into your car and literally just driving home. You're going to hit the trail, hit the road, you're going to get in your car and start driving away. To hit the road. And I guess as a bonus one here, we can use a similar kind of expression to mean going to bed, going to sleep. And that is to hit the hay or to hit the sack. This expression originates from when mattresses used to be stuffed with hay, stuffed with straw, and if you were to hit the hay, you're literally lying down on the mattress and just smashing your body down, your head down. You've hit the hay, you've hit the mattress, you've hit the sack of hay, and you've gone to sleep. So like if it's time to leave, you can say, I'm going to hit the road. And if you get home and someone says, what are you up to now? But you want to go to bed, you could say, I'm going to hit the sack. I'm going to hit the sack. Chris just got it right. She nailed it. She nailed it. She hit the nail on the head. To hit the sack or to hit the hay. So that's it, guys. That's 15 expressions from this Australian Catholic University blog. You can do a Google search for this one. Just type in 15 idioms commonly used in Australia, and you will see more detailed examples and more detailed write-up. I'll put it in the comments as well. I might even be able to put it in the description. But definitely have a read of those. I guess summing up, I use all of these expressions. All 15 of these expressions I know, and I definitely know that I've used all of them. There are some that I probably wouldn't use that often. Like, I don't know if I would say I'd big note myself, but yeah, I definitely hear that quite a bit. So go back and watch this lesson again if you want to practice all of these. I'll probably put it on the podcast as well, and maybe YouTube. But aside from that, guys, it's time for you to ask questions. So if you want to know anything, if you have any questions about any of these idioms that I just went over, feel free to put them in the comments. And aside from that, if you have just questions in general with English, now's the chance to do that. So let's go to some of these comments. Andres, okay, I'm going to crash. Yes, exactly. That's exactly the same as I'm going to hit the hay, I'm going to go to bed, I'm going to hit the sack, I'm going to crash. And the idea there would be like a car crashing into another car, you're going to crash into your mattress. So you're going to literally just go bang into the mattress. I'm going to crash, guys. That's a pretty informal, casual way of saying, I'm going to go to bed. I'm going to go to bed. I am on it means I have full control of it. Exactly, Sarah, that's it. It's just like I'm on the ball, I'm on top of this thing, I'm on this thing, I'm in control of it. I have everything organized, I have everything sorted out. You'll hear that kind of expression, I am on it, at places like work. If you're working somewhere, whether you're working in, say, hospitality, and someone asks you, are you able to do this? Are you doing this? Are you doing this already? This thing? Are you doing this? I would probably say, yeah, I'm on it. I've got control of this. It's piss easy. It's a piece of cake. I'm on this. So there's those questions. What about you guys? Any other questions that you want to chuck down here in the comments regarding expressions, phrasal verbs, anything else? Anything else, guys? Feel free to ask. I'll hang out for another 5 or 10 minutes. Well, we'll see. I'm always worried that these question sections go a bit long and bore people. So make sure that you chuck some questions in the comments, guys. No worries, Mohammed. Thank you so much for coming. No, it's my pleasure, Chris. Thank you for watching. Have you got any other questions, Chris? Any other issues? Maybe prepositions. I know that brasileiros and brasileiras have a lot of preposition issues, and the same as me in Portuguese. Hey, Pepe, how are you going? I hope you're improving your English, James. Too funny. Any other questions, guys? We've just finished this episode where I went through 15 different expressions from a blog post here that I will definitely put in the description of this episode, and whether or not I use them. It's going good. It's going good. How are you? I don't know how to say your name. Is that Case? Case? Did I say it correctly? Whereabouts are you from, Case? Under the assumption that I said it correctly. Man, I'm so cold at the moment. I have the heater on in my house. I'm freezing my butt off. It's been horrible. I was not prepared. All right, I could tell you guys about prepositions, about phrasal verbs, about other expressions. Is there anything that you guys want help with that you have been finding troublesome, finding annoying, finding difficult in English recently? This is your time to ask away, ask away. Hey Chris, I'm in Melbourne. I am in Melbourne. I live here. This is North Melbourne, my house in North Melbourne. So yeah, I know prepositions are so evil. It's so funny, especially when I was learning Portuguese. When I first started, you guys seem to use the preposition, or the equivalent of the preposition for, para, all the time. And it is just a total nightmare, because in English, I would use in and at and on to describe different situations, but then in Portuguese, you guys always seem to use para for everything. And that was killing me. But feel free to ask questions, guys. Come on, hit me up. Ask me some questions. I'm trying to be on the ball. I'm trying to get these questions out. I have an awesome accent. I know. It's my favorite accent. Do you guys like the Australian accent? Has it been a pain in the butt to learn? Are you having any difficulties understanding the Australian accent at the moment? Any expressions or pronunciation stuff as well that you want to talk about? I'm not sponsored by these guys. I just really like Pepsi Max, just so you know, guys. Any other questions? Come on, hit me up. I think, Pepe, I think that's a good question. Why do Australians speak so fast, so quickly? I think it's just that, I think it's not necessarily that we speak really, really quickly. I think we just modify the language quite a bit. So, for instance, I did an episode on YouTube recently about how words that end in things like OR, AR, A, ER, RE, URE, and OUR, all those different endings sound exactly the same. So Australians will say ah. So instead of saying Peter, which is my name, as Americans would say it, I say Peter. And so I think part of the trouble is that we do speak quickly when speaking with other native speakers, but that we also modify the pronunciation of a lot of things, and that makes it quite a bit of a pain in the butt to learn. And I'll just scroll through some of these comments here. Sorry, guys. How are you going, Carliz? Hey from Melbourne. Exactly, and the slang that we use, Chris. So Australian English is also a pain because we change the words. So for instance, instead of service station, we'll say servo. Instead of barbecue, we say barbie. So I think it's not that you guys are never going to be able to learn all of these things. It's just that it's a lot to tackle. It's a lot to tackle, and it requires constant effort. You constantly have to be there. you know, putting in the effort, trying to learn new words, trying to use new words, trying to remember new words. And that's why any language, not just Australian, but once you guys get to that level where you can understand exactly what people are saying, it gets to that point where you still have to keep pushing, and that's the difficult part. A lot of people stop, they kind of get off the train that is the learning of English, the train that is learning of English. They get off and they're like, okay, I can understand enough, that's good enough. But really, you got to keep pushing. You got to keep pushing. The curve is like this for learning, right? You're learning a language and it's like this. That initial part is really fast. It's really fast, and then afterwards it's really slow. But all the important stuff, I feel, happens later on, especially if you're learning more complicated dialects, or more specific dialects rather, like Australian English, and you want to fit in like an Aussie. It can be a real pain in the butt. So sorry, I'm just scrolling back through some of these. Mistake, Pete and Peter. Yeah, so Pete would just be, when you take the R off the end of Peter or Peter, you would just say Pete, Sarah. And then it sounds exactly the same as Peter. So if there's an A on the end, we'd still say Peter. But if it's just P-E-T-E, you pronounce it as Pete, Chris, if you're chatting to your cousins in the USA, you might not want to focus on having an Australian accent. Because I think that's the funny thing too. As much as you guys have trouble with Australian English, when I start speaking really fast with people from America, from Canada, from the USA, from England, I also have to sort of pull myself back a bit and remember that these guys don't understand the slang that I'm using. They don't necessarily understand the pronunciation of words that I'm using. And so quite often I have to hold back on how quickly as well. So let's see, what are some other ones, guys? What is the difference between modal verbs and modal auxiliary verbs? Oh man, you're killing me. You're killing me. That's a good one. Okay, so modal verbs, I might even have to Google this because I hate getting things wrong, man. That's the modal verbs versus auxiliary verbs. Let's see if I can get this for you. See, I don't know everything. I speak this language natively, but I don't know all the grammar stuff. I constantly have to be learning this. So let me find out. Okay. So both modal verbs and auxiliary verbs are helping verbs, but I think if we can open this up, need some music playing in the background. So the difference: modal verbs are auxiliary verbs that express modality. There you go. So modal verbs indicate possibility, probability, ability, permission, obligation, and necessity, and they are not subject to inflections. Isn't that complicated? All right, so some examples of modal verbs: can, could, may, might, must, ought to, shall, should, will, and would. Modal verbs. Auxiliary verbs are verbs that help the main verb to express a tense, to express voice and other grammatical aspects. So auxiliary verbs indicate tense and mood and grammatical aspect. Again, jargon, guys, jargon. But just think of these as the ones that you would conjugate. So you don't conjugate would, it's always would. You don't conjugate will, it's always will. You don't conjugate shall, should, can, could. They're always the same with everything. The ones that you do conjugate are to be. I am doing, for instance. That's an auxiliary verb. So that is, it's changing the verb that follows it, I guess. That's what it's saying there, where it modifies it. It changes the tense. Or have, I have done. Or do, I do run. I do run. So auxiliary verbs are be, do, and have, the ones that you can conjugate with the different pronouns. I do, he does. I have, he has. I am, he is. And then modal verbs are the ones that express modality, whatever that means, like can, could, may, might, must, ought to, shall, should, will, and would. So that's a pretty complicated question, but learning those is a pain in the butt, I know. Just keep practicing, guys. Keep working hard. It just comes with time. The best The best way to learn those sorts of things, though, is to try and delve deep into why you're using them, when you're using them, and get the idea in your head of, say, permission or probability. That might happen. That might happen. That means that it's probable. It's likely to happen. So you've got to think in your head, when I want to say that it is a possibility that is likely to happen, I can say it may happen, it might happen. So, I don't know, it just takes practice. You just have to keep doing it. Don't worry if you make mistakes, guys. It's not going to be the end of the world. How are you going, Vivi? Hey, Mayfi. And Eduardo, how are you going? Is there a tip for pronouncing properly feelings, like love, happiness, and feelings to be used on... feelings and fillings. Okay, got you. The difference between those is very subtle. Feelings, can you hear that? See if you can hear the difference. Feelings, fillings. Feelings, fillings. I guess apart from the fact that I'm raising my voice on the first one and bringing it down on the next one, feelings is longer. Feel. Whereas fillings is quick. It's just fill, feel, fill. It's pretty much the same vowel sound. I think that feel is just longer, so you'll hear this in words like to heal someone. It sounds like it's the same vowel sound as hear as well. Hear, heal. Hill will be the short one, so the difference there, okay, to cure someone, to heal someone, or a hill, like a mountain, a small mountain. A hill, heal and hill. Feel and fill. Feeling, filling. So again, don't worry too much. Practice the pronunciation, but don't let it hold you back. Don't let it stop you from speaking, because context is going to give away exactly what you mean. No one is going to get confused thinking about when you're ordering a pie or a burrito that you are talking about your feelings, like your emotions. And vice versa. If you say, I want to talk about my feelings, it's pretty, and you accidentally mispronounce it, it's unlikely people are going to wait and think, is he talking about what goes in a burrito? So work on it, but don't let it stress you out too much, mate. Leave and live. That's another good example. Leave, bit longer. Live, very sort of short. E. Yeah, they're slightly different vowel sounds, but you could probably use the same vowel, just make one of them long and one of them short. And it's the same kind of thing with beach, and bitch. Those are those ones you don't really want to get wrong quite a lot. Beach and bitch. E. And the same with sheet, like the piece of cloth that you would put on your bed, that's a sheet. And if you accidentally say shit, that is a poo. That is a very, very rude word for a poo. Shit and sheet. What is the context for the expression how come? Hey Kiki, how come is just why. Why? I use that all the time, and it's funny. I have a Spanish friend here staying with me at the moment, and I find myself saying all the time, how come? How come? Or how come he thought that? How come he said that? And she'll always be like, what are you talking about? What does that mean? And I'll just say, why are you talking about that? Why did he do that? Why? So you can use them interchangeably. Absolutely. Someone might say to me, do you want to do this later? And if I wanted to say why, I could just say, how come? So there may be a slightly subtle difference there if you looked it up online, but I would just use them interchangeably. So like, how come he's here? Why is he here? How come we're not going to the beach? Why aren't we going to the beach? How come they're so angry? Why are they so angry? One thing I did just notice myself doing though is that if I say how come, it sounds like how come they're angry. I don't invert it. So I don't say how come are they angry. I always say how come they are angry. So I don't invert it. Whereas if I was to say why are they angry, as you just heard there, I say why are they angry. So I have to invert it. If you say why they are angry, that isn't a question. That is it's like you're about to say why they are angry. So I hope that helps, mate. Any other questions, guys? Feel free to ask away. You'll have to watch this episode at the end when it's up online, and you can watch it from the start, because I went through 15 different expressions that are commonly used in Australian English. 15 different expressions. So just to go through them again, to give you an idea of what you can go back and see, the expressions were to beat around the bush, as in to waste time, to be barking up the wrong tree, which means to come to the wrong place for information, don't give up your day job, which is what you would say to someone when they're doing something that they're not doing very well, to big note yourself, which is to boast, to talk yourself up. It takes two to tango, meaning two people are required to do this thing, often a negative thing like arguing or fighting. It takes two to tango. To hit the nail on the head is to get something perfectly correct. To be efficient, to hit the nail on the head. To miss the boat is to miss a chance or opportunity. To be a piece of cake is to be incredibly easy. To be sitting on the fence, if someone sits on the fence, they're undecided between two options. They're undecided, sitting on the fence. Speak of the devil is what we use if we are talking about someone and they suddenly appear. Whoa, speak of the devil, here he is. Wouldn't be caught dead doing something is the kind of thing you would say if you would be way too embarrassed to ever do that thing. I would never be caught dead wearing women's underwear in public. I wouldn't be caught dead doing that. To be on the ball is to be in control, incredibly attentive, organized, knowledgeable, to be on the ball. The last straw is for something to be sufficient. That is the final straw. That is the last straw. Often in a negative way too. If a kid said to me and was annoying me a lot and he was pestering me, I could say, that's the last straw, no more. And then to hit the road, as in it's time to go, to hit the road. So remember, you can ask questions in the comments here with regards to any of those expressions or anything else in English. My battery is going to run out relatively quickly, probably in the next 10 or 20 minutes, but I'll keep hanging out. So what have we got here? Is it normal to use however in speaking? Pepe asks. Absolutely, mate, absolutely. However, you might also want to use some other things in there, like other words like although, or even though that's the case, you can definitely use however when speaking. Absolutely, absolutely. What else have we got? What's the correct way to say it and why? I do not want it. No, you would never say that. You can't use the auxiliary verb do, as we just learnt before. You can't use the auxiliary verb do with a past participle, which is what you've used there, wanted. So you have to say, I do not want. So that's the verb. The auxiliary verb there is at the front, I do, and then it has to be an infinitive verb, want. And I did not want to say, exactly. So if you want to say it in the past, you have to say, I did not want to say. And if you say it in the present, you have to say, I do not want to say. And in both those cases, want has to be in the infinitive form. I do not go, I do not look, I do not leave, etc. I did not go, I did not look, I did not leave. Those verbs after did or do are always in the infinitive form. Lots of Brazilians watching. Lots of Brazilians. So what else have we got? We didn't come here to... You can do... Yep. You can definitely use that one, Eduardo. I might not repeat that on the line here, but we didn't come here to, F-U-C-K spiders. That's used. That's probably not commonly used, but it's the kind of thing that male friends of mine would say as a joke. They would definitely say that as a joke to make people laugh. And if I heard that, like I just did from you, it made me laugh. So I don't know if you guys heard one of the previous episodes in the podcast a while back. I had a housemate named John, and he was pretty rough. He was a bit of a rough Aussie, very strong accent. He would say that all the time. And if we didn't come here to F-U-C-K spiders, it means we didn't come to waste time. We didn't come here to do anything else. We didn't come here to F spiders. We didn't come here to waste time. And Pepe asks here, get over it. is it offensive to use get over it? That is the kind of thing where in and of itself, if you just say the words get over it, it's not offensive, Peppy. However, the context would be what could be seen as offensive potentially. It depends on the context. Like, it's kind of like if you were to say get over it to someone, it would be like you're saying the thing that they're upset about or angry about, it's not a big deal. Move on. Get over it. Harden up. Get over it. So, for instance, if my mother died and someone walked up to me and said, dude, get over it. Yeah, I'd be offended. I'd be offended. But it's not so much because of the words the person's used, it's because they've belittled the fact that something so serious has happened and has affected me. So that's the offensive aspect of saying get over it to someone. It would be like if the situation is serious and you've just, maybe they had their leg chopped off in a car accident and you've said to them, just get over it. Just get over it. You'll be fine. Stop whinging. Stop having a whine. Get over it. Then they're going to be upset. But if it is something like someone's got a mosquito bite, those annoying bugs that have come down and bitten someone and they keep complaining about it and you say, look, just get over it. It's not a big deal. Get over it. That wouldn't be offensive at all. Hey, Mart. Tere. And Carol, how are you going? Is it correct to say I haven't, could, do, whatever? No, you wouldn't say I haven't. If you use haven't, which is an auxiliary verb, as we just talked about before, you would never use it with a modal verb, which is what could is, after haven't. So you would use do. So you would either say I couldn't do, or I haven't, and then you would have to say been able to do. So you can use either of those, but you can't use have and could at the same time. And what else did you say? Trying to say that, have been trying to do something. So yeah, I haven't been able to do something, or I couldn't do something. They mean effectively the same thing. You're just picking a slightly different tense, where if you were to say I couldn't do it, that is that the event has passed and I wasn't able to do that thing in the past. Yesterday I couldn't come. Whereas if I said I haven't been able to come, that would be like it's continuing until now. So imagine there's a party going on across the road. If I said to a friend I haven't been able to go over yet, it's in the past I haven't been able to go, I couldn't go, but that the opportunity is still there. And so I might still be able to go, but so far, because it's continuing, I haven't been able to. Whereas if it completely had passed, the opportunity's gone, I could say, I couldn't have gone, I couldn't go, I couldn't do that thing. So yeah, been able. Another cool thing about being able, or at least the pronunciation of been, we often turn this as Australians and probably other native speakers of English too, been will get turned into just burn, or yeah, burn. Almost like you're saying bin, but it's even more reduced. Burn. I haven't been there. I haven't done that. I haven't been able to. I haven't been able to. I haven't been anywhere nice recently. So we often just squish that one down. So you might hear people now when you talk to Aussies quite often contract been. They won't say it that well because it requires you to smile. You have to say been. They'll just say been or bin. I haven't been able to. No worries, Carol. Glad it helped. Any other questions, guys, before my battery runs out? Today was a write-off. James, you speak English fluently. You're an Aussie. I don't know what you're doing here. You just give me suggestions. A write-off. All right, I can explain that expression. If something's a write-off, it means that, I guess in the case of a day being a write-off, that you got nothing done. So I think you would use this expression mostly with cars in the literal sense, right? James might be able to correct me if I'm wrong, but if a car is written off, it means that you've crashed it and damaged it to the point where it would be written off. Like it's someone's come and signed something that says this car isn't able to be driven ever again. So if today was a write-off, it would be that we got nothing done, and so the day's been wasted, it's been ruined, the day's been written off. Where it was a write-off, I didn't really do much. I had planned to do a lot today, but I didn't get around to it, I didn't do it, and the day was a write-off. Hey Ruchi, welcome to the class. I'm going to bail soon. I'm going to leave soon. To bail is another way of saying leave, to go. But if you guys have any more questions, put them in the comments. Any more questions about English, expressions, prepositions, anything you like. Kiki asks, I'm trying to understand the difference between lie and lay. Apparently it's a common mistake, even among some native speakers. Could you help us? Okay, to lie and to lay. Well, obviously you can use lie as to tell a fib, so to say something that's not true. That's one difference. But in terms of lying down, it would be that you would, you're standing up and you're lying down. You're standing up and you're laying down. That's a difficult one though. I would probably use them, as you say, natives would probably screw that up. I'm sure if I do a quick Google search, lie versus lay, there'll be a difference, but I think in my head I can't think of what that difference is. I would probably use them interchangeably. So I could say I'm going to have a lie down, I'm going to have a lay down. If I'm tired, I might lie down, I might lay down. I think that you would say, for instance, if you were putting tiles on the floor, like if someone was coming to your house, and you can see on the floor here we have tiles. If they were putting those tiles down, they would be laying the tiles. You wouldn't say down, they would. What's here? What have we got here? So you lie down on the sofa, no direct object, but you lay the book on the table. Okay, there's the answer. Lie is something that doesn't take a direct object, so it's something that you do yourself. You don't do it to something else. Lay is what you do to something else. So with the tiles, you lay the tiles down. The tiles is the direct object. So you're laying the tile. The verb is doing something to something else. If you use lie, it has to be just you that's doing that thing. I'm lying down. But I think a lot of people would say, I'm going to lay down. So that is probably where it's incorrect. It's probably incorrect to say, I'm going to lay down. You probably have to say, I'm going to lay myself down. It has to have a direct object. So hopefully that makes sense. What else have we got here? Hratch, what have you asked? Could is mainly used, one, with verbs like hear, see, smell, taste, and two, to say that one's, this looks like it's a, is this an explanation or a question? It looks like a long comment. However, in a specific situation, you would use be able to or manage to. The fire spread quickly, but everybody managed to escape. Yeah, exactly. There are real subtle differences quite often with these things, guys, but the best way to learn these subtle differences isn't necessarily to go and study these rules, although I do say go and look at grammar. Read it every now and then if you want to just check some stuff that you're unsure about. But first and foremost, use it. Go out there and use it. Go out there and be wrong. Go out there and make mistakes. So like with managed to, was able to, or could, if you're unsure, ask someone or just use it. Just throw it out there and see what people say. If they get confused or they're not sure, they're going to ask you, what do you mean? Could you repeat that? Are you able to say that again? So that's just a little piece of advice. It's an explanation. No worries, Hratch. Thank you. Amazing. Lie and lay. I know. And these are things I learn as well, guys. I don't know all this stuff with regards to grammar. A lot of the time, you guys ask amazing questions and I have to go and look it up. I have to go and type it in and try and find out why it is that I say one thing and not another thing. And a lot of the time too, like with lie and lay, I don't know the answer in my head. I have to look it up and I probably make the mistake as well. So any other questions before my battery dies, guys? Any more English related questions? Could you please pronounce words like comfortable? All right, here we go. Comfortable, vegetables, approximately, and valuable. So I would say comfy if I really wanted to contract comfortable down, but I think if I was to say the whole word properly, comfortable. So I don't say comfortable. And I don't even say table at the end. I say comfortable. 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 With vegetables, again, I get rid of veg. I just say vegetables. So again, table, it requires too much effort. I just say table. Table. Comfortable, vegetable. Vegetable. With approximately, I don't say mate, sort of like table. I don't say that able. I don't say eightly. I say approximately. Mutely. So it's that schwa, that stupid schwa sneaking in and taking over those vowels. So comfortable, vegetables, approximately, approximately, and valuable. I won't say valuable, I say valuable, valuable, valuable. So I hope that helps. I know it's difficult, I know it's annoying, it just takes practice. If you haven't already, go to the YouTube channel, the Aussie English one, and check out the 10 or 11 words to mispronounce like a native. And I think I go through some of these. I go through them. What else have we got here? How should I use think of or think about? They're the same thing. You can probably use of and about in different ways depending on the phrase or verb you're using, but if okay. To think of something is to like have that thing come into your head. So like I have to think of an explanation for this question. I have to think of it. But I could also say I'm thinking of something as in I have the thing in my head already. So it's not coming to me, it's already in my head. That is what think about something would mean, that it's going on in your head as opposed to coming to you. So if I have to think of something, you know, you might hear someone say to you, quick, think of something. It's like, come up with a plan. Whereas you wouldn't say, quick, think about something, because that would be like they're just sitting there having the thing going around in their head. So I think that's the slight difference of how to use those. But I think a lot of the time you could use them interchangeably if it's just that you're thinking of the thing, whereas if you have to plan for it, you've got to say think of something. What else have we got here? Comfy, comfy. How do you say when we want to show sympathy for someone? I mean, when a friend is going through a difficult time. I guess you could say things like, and again, it would depend on the situation, but I'm sorry to hear that. I feel for you. I hope you're okay. You can say those kinds of things. It just depends on the kind of feeling that you're trying to get across. If you understand what you're going through, that's like you understand what that person is experiencing. I'm here for you would mean that if you need anything, I'm here and I can help you. Yeah, they're the kinds of expressions that I'd use, Kais. Could you please, possibly, it's too formal? Yeah. No, you could definitely, Andreas, you could definitely say, could you please possibly do something? It is somewhat formal as opposed to just could ya, which is probably what I would say in an informal situation. I would just say, could you do this? Could you do that? Could ya? Could ya? And that's a good example of where if a word ends with D, the letter D, and then you have the word you after it, as in the pronoun you, as opposed to me or I, you can say could ya. So it turns into a J kind of sound. All right, 10% of the battery left. We've got a bit of time. All right, what else? We've got some other questions, guys. The American English, I know there's a bit of a difference between American English and Australian English, although a lot of the time, at least Australians will understand everything that Americans say because we get bombarded with American TV, American movies, American TV shows. We get it just constantly rammed down our throats, meaning put in our mouths and rammed down our throats. Everywhere we look, there is American TV, American movies, American films, TV series. So Australians understand Americans. However, Americans quite often don't understand Australians because their experience with Australians and the Australian accent probably starts and stops with the movie Crocodile Dundee. So that's something to think about. If you guys worry about whether or not someone's going to understand you if you learn an Australian accent, chances are that Americans might have a difficult time at times. So that's why you always want to learn how to say things, phonetically. So like if I was to say that something's really comfy, Americans would probably be like, what are you talking about? Because they're not used to that slang. And so I would have to remember, it's comfortable, it's comfortable, it's comfortable. So I would have to go back to saying the word 100%, pulling it out and saying it properly. The same with servo, service station, Barbie, barbecue. So it's always good to know both those things. Anyway, guys, unless you've got any other questions, I might bail. I might finish here. I think we've been going for about an hour and my phone is probably going to die any minute. It's going to run out of battery. So if that's it, guys, I might say peace out. Remember to go back and watch this lesson if you want to practice the 15 different idioms that I went over. I'll put the link in the description for this video so that you can read about them as well. Thanks so much for watching, guys. I'm going to try and do these as much as possible in the future to try and help you, but I really appreciate you guys watching. And if you want to learn to sound, to speak like an Australian speaker, make sure you jump over to the Aussie English Podcast website at www.theaussieenglishpodcast.com. Make sure that you sign up and listen to the podcast. And if you want all the bonus content for all the episodes that I put on the podcast, you can sign up to be a member. It's $1. So give it a go. Sign up for the first week at the moment and it's $1. Anyway, peace out. Thanks for the company, guys, and I'll chat to you soon.